In the winter of 1959, 9 of the Soviet Union's most experienced hikers vanished into a sub-zero nightmare in the Ural Mountains. When searchers finally reached their camp, they found a scene that defied all logic. An abandoned tent in the snow, sliced open from the inside, and a trail of footprints leading into the darkness, some left by feet that were completely bare. They weren't just running from the cold. They were fleeing something that left their bodies broken, and their story a riddle written in ice. The journey began with 10 vibrant souls, mostly students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. They were elite trekkers, aiming for their Grade 3 certification by traversing 300 kilometers of the most difficult terrain the USSR had to offer. On January 28th, the group was cut to 9 when Yuri Yudin was forced to turn back due to heart and joint pain. He would be the only one to survive the mountain. By February 1st, the group reached the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, known to the locals as the Mountain of the Dead. Blinding snow and failing visibility forced them to set up camp on the exposed slope rather than seeking shelter in the forest below. It was here that something catastrophic occurred. Evidence suggests the hikers used knives to cut their way out through the walls of the tent, fleeing into negative 40-degree temperatures while inadequately dressed for the survival of even a single hour. Weeks later, searchers found the abandoned tent, half torn and buried in snow, containing the group's shoes and all their worn belongings. Following the footprints of 9 people, some wearing only socks or a single shoe, they reached a large Siberian pine at the forest edge. Beneath it, they found the first 2 bodies, dressed only in underwear. Branches on the tree was broken 5 meters high, as if someone had desperately climbed to look for the camp, or perhaps to see what was stalking them from the shadows. While the first few bodies appear to have died of hypothermia while trying to crawl back to the tent, the discovery of the final 4 hikers in May changed everything. Buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine, these victims bore injuries comparable to a high-speed car crash. One suffered major skull damage. 2 others had their chests completely crushed. Even more chilling, some were found with missing eyes, and one was even missing her tongue. Soviet authorities eventually closed the file, blaming a compelling natural force. While modern investigations point to a slab avalanche as the likely trigger, many still whisper of secret military tests, infrasound, or something far more malevolent. So let's go over some of the most popular theories on what happened. The most recent official conclusions suggest a slab avalanche. Unlike a massive wall of snow, a slab is a thick layer of icy crust that slides down all at once. Imagine sleeping in negative 40 degrees Celsius weather when a heavy slab of ice suddenly collapses onto your tent, pinning you down and crushing your ribs and skulls instantly. In a state of total panic and fearing a second slide, the survivors use knives to slice their way out of the wreckage. They flee toward the trees, too terrified to dig through the snow for their boots. Some believe the wind whipping over the dome of the Kholat Syakhl created a Kármán vortex street, producing infrasound. These are sound waves at a frequency humans can't hear, but the body feels. It is known to cause intense feelings of dread, nausea, and sudden blinding panic. This would explain why an entire group of expert hikers would collectively lose their minds and run into a blizzard with no shoes. They weren't running from a physical threat, but a psychological one. The Ural Mountains were deep in Soviet territory, a perfect place for the curtain to hide its secrets. Searchers noted a compelling natural force caused the deaths, but many pointed to reports of glowing orange orbs in the sky that night. The massive internal trauma found on the final 4 bodies, major skull damage and crushed chests, was described by medical experts as being caused by a force comparable to a high-speed car crash. Yet there were no external bruises. Some speculate this was the result of a conclusive shock wave from a secret high-altitude weapon or rocket test. Kholat Syakhl is the Mountain of the Dead, and Otorten is "don't go there" in the local Mansi language. Early speculation suggested the indigenous Mansi people might have attacked the group for trespassing on sacred ground. However, investigators found no other footprints besides those of the hikers. Others point to the missing eyes and tongue as a sign of something more predatory, though forensic experts later judged these injuries happened post-mortem in the running water of the creek. So why would elite hikers, people who knew the mountain better than anyone, run into a negative 40-degree night without shoes or coats? How do we explain the massive internal trauma that crushed their ribs and skulls like a car crash, yet left no bruises on their skin? A memorial now stands on a rock outcrop near the site of their final camp, bearing the names of the 9 who never came home. The pass itself now carries Igor Dyatlov's name, a permanent reminder of a journey that ended in a riddle. Perhaps the mountain truly is a place where logic fails, leaving us with only the final haunting images of a group walking into a storm they were never meant to survive. Maybe some secrets are meant to stay buried on the mountain of the dead. What do you think happened? The facts are documented, but the truth remains elusive. If you enjoy this dive into the unknown, join us by subscribing to the channel. Until we open the vault again, thanks for watching.